The year started with a devastating wave of violence. A January attack on one of the city's premier hotels left dozens dead, including 14 foreigners. Days later, a Taliban attacker blew up an ambulance packed with explosives on a crowded street, killing at least 95. The attacks in the heart of the capital were one indication that a surge in American troops in the country to 14,000 from less than 10,000 last year had not helped. Civilians continued to die in record numbers, according to the United Nations. Afghan security forces' casualties were unsustainable, according to American generals. 12 Americans died in action. President Ashraf Ghani repeatedly offered Taliban to join peace talks.
We offer the Taliban a peace which guarantees Afghanistan's interests and women's rights and which prohibits any terrorism on Afghan soil.
But the insurgents continued to ignore him. They wanted to talk directly to what they called the occupying force, the Americans. The first pause in violence in the 17-year-old war came in June when Ghani offered 8 days of unilateral ceasefire to the Taliban. The Taliban reciprocated for 3 out of the 8 days, which coincided with the holy Muslim festival Eid al-Fitr. Unprecedented scenes of militants mingling with Afghan civilians, taking selfies and smiling at Afghan security personnel flooded social media, raising expectations of a major breakthrough.
Our leaders have ordered a 3-day ceasefire. We want a permanent ceasefire to resolve all our issues.
Then, in a major development over the summer, America reversed its long-standing policy. Senior U.S. diplomat Alice Wells held a face-to-face meeting with Taliban. It was followed by U.S. President Donald Trump officially nominating Zalmay Khalilzad to negotiate with all parties, including the Taliban.
The end state that I envisage for Afghanistan will be an Afghanistan that is at peace, an Afghanistan that's successful, an Afghanistan that doesn't pose a threat to itself, meaning there is peace among Afghans, and an Afghanistan that doesn't pose a threat to the international community, and since I represent the United States, particularly to the United States.
Khalilzad has since made 3 trips to the region. The Taliban have welcomed the development, but the contacts did little to reduce the violence. Taliban attacks left hundreds dead on both sides. Meanwhile, another group, Islamic State, continued attacking targets in Nangarhar province and Kabul city throughout the year. In between, the country held its long overdue parliamentary elections. Women came out in droves to vote despite threats. The year ended with a hope that negotiations with the Taliban may yield some result next year. Ayesha Tanzeem, VOA News, Islamabad.